Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome to another Indie Game Friday, where each week I take a look at a different independent computer role-playing game. This week I'm taking a look at Xanarthraxia. Developed and published by Brain Chocolate, it was released on Steam on November 16th, 2019. Xanarthraxia is billed as an RPG. It has combat, an advancement system with multiple options for stat boosts. However, I want to say that it's another one of those not really an RPG, but classified as one anyway games. What Xanarthraxia is a symbol matching clicker with RPG elements, but I'm going to cover it anyway. In terms of plot, there's not really any. You are a knight and you set forth through the realms to cleanse them of evil. In order to defeat each creature, you must synchronize the energetic patterns within your weapon's glyphs and the enemy. In practice, this basically means matching a symbol that's generated each round with one of those presented on a board, all within a decreasing time limit. Before that, though, let's go over the basic stats. There are a few that are immediately evident and a few that seem hidden. In fact, a number of the mechanics seem hidden or go by too swiftly during gameplay to actually be notable, so I'm going to try my best here, but it's just basically my takeaway on it. Both you and your opponent have hit points. The main character also has attack power, an overall level, a number of kills, how many times you've died, a combo multiplier, and a score. There's also a super bar that fills a bit on each successful hit or decreases after a mismatch or when the timer runs out. Once it is filled, you can use it to unleash a powerful attack on your opponent. In terms of hidden stats, there's a defense rating, coin bonus, an enemy weakness perk, and a timer slowdown perk. These perks, as well as additional hit points and an attack power boost, can be chosen out of a randomly determined assortment after each level is gained, and function as the game's advancement system. The bulk of the game plays out in 6 levels or worlds. Each one is simply a gauntlet of randomly selected monsters that come at you one after the other. Each world gradually has more and more difficult creatures until the final one ends with a battle with an enemy knight with a fair amount of hit points. These creatures are of different types, with some far easier than others, and each one is randomly selected on the fly, so you can encounter one that's very difficult and then one that's extremely easy. Enemies have differing number of hit points, do different amounts of damage when you match incorrectly or run out of time, and seem to run the timer down at different speeds. Although the timer runs down faster generally the further in the game you go, certain enemies with high offensive capabilities seem to run it out even faster. Once the timer starts during any particular round, you are presented with a random symbol. At the bottom of the screen are 9 symbols arranged in a grid. Selecting the matching symbol removes it from the grid and allows you to do damage to the enemy, which then resets the timer and generates a new matching symbol. Once all of the symbols are removed from the grid, you receive a bit of healing and a new grid of randomized symbols is generated. This can occur in mid-combat, and it can be a bit of a challenge to adapt to an entirely new grid instantly, so it's worth keeping that in mind, at least the timing of it, so that you're prepped in case you clear the grid while fighting, say, a dragon or something. Matching a symbol also increases the combo multiplier. After you reduce an enemy to 0 hit points, they perish, you get a certain amount of coins, and if there's another enemy queued up the level, they appear, and you just continue on. So you basically proceed through the game that way. Once you defeat the knight at the end of the first run around, a hardcore mode opens up, and you can go ahead and select it in the options to provide more challenge. Aside from that, there's not that much to say about the gameplay. You retain your level between runs, but not your perks or score, although it doesn't seem to delay leveling to new levels at all. There is an online leaderboard to compare high scores if that's your thing. And far as gameplay goes, that's it. Graphically, Xanarthraxia uses a old 8-bit pixel art style with a Game Boy inspired palette, at least mostly. There is a bit of vibrant red thrown into things just to throw, some deviation in there. There are a few wavy and shaky filters as well that are put in to activate at certain times to make matching a little bit more challenging, but these can be turned off in options. The chip-tuned soundtrack was actually pretty good, at least in my opinion, although if you're not into the sound of old games from that era, your mileage may vary on that. I would say that Xanarthraxia is not an RPG despite being labeled as one, and despite having the bare minimum advancement mechanisms of one, although it does certainly evoke an RPG feeling while you're playing it. So if you're looking to spend a very brief time just grinding away on those battles, it can fill that niche. The matching gameplay is actually not half bad for a combat mechanic. unique at least, and certainly less annoying than some other combat minigames I've seen in some full-fledged RPGs. The main saving grace for Xanarthraxia, despite its momentarily amusing gameplay, is the extremely reasonable price. For just a few bucks, you get a nice little retro-looking game with a bit of a unique take on things that can kill an hour or two before it starts to wear on you. Perhaps not enough to really recommend it for everyone, but it is a fun little time waster. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here, keeping it brief this week. This has been the RPG Crawler with my Indie Game Friday review of Xanarthraxia. As always, links will be in the description below. If you like what you've seen, remember to leave a like, comment if you got any feedback, and subscribe for more RPG content, both tabletop and computer. Until next time, take care and goodbye. And if you're still watching this far, I'd like to take a moment to thank those who have supported this channel via Patreon or direct donations throughout the years, without which this channel could not have lasted as long as it has. For those who are feeling particularly generous, you can still support my work through Patreon and now through Subscribestar as well, through the links in the description below.